Good morning, firearms friends. If you've been watching for the last 2 days, you know that we're covering items coming up the next day in our May premier firearms auction. Of course, this is one on day 3, our third and final day. That's May 21st. And I just kind of saved the best for last, at least personally. It's one of my top 3 or 2 guns in the entire auction, as much for its aesthetic as its U.S. military history. This is a Colt New Army Model 1903. Now the 1903 and all its predecessors, they're really, I think, underappreciated part of U.S. military sidearms, and they shouldn't be. They kind of start their life, their earliest variation harkens back to the Colt Model 1889. That's Colt's first with a swing-out cylinder. But as far as the government contracts go, the Model 1892 is the first. It's actually the first government revolver with double action and a swing-out cylinder, and it goes from there. The various improvements happen. We have the 1894, the 1896, the 1901, the 1903, and then a number of different year variations made for specific branches of the military. And it's my personal opinion that it's all those variations and minutia that keep it from being quite as collectible as something that just has one name like the 1911. But I digress. It really has a very cool place in military history. For example, I believe the Model 1892 was one that was pulled from the wreckage of the USS Maine, presented to Teddy Roosevelt by his brother-in-law, who then promptly charged up San Juan Hill with it. That's this line of guns. It also was the gun that the U.S. military is using at the time when the U.S. was involved in the Philippines. And its .38 caliber cartridge was deemed not quite adequate for combat against the Moro tribesmen, which of course gave rise to the .45 ACP, the gun to fire it, which of course leads to the 1911. So these very much have a place in U.S. military history in some very neat spots as well. Now you may look at this and think, well, that doesn't look very much like a military gun, and you're right, it doesn't look like a military gun, but it's hardly a strike against it. Happy to say it is a military gun, and we know that because we have some sub-inspector marks on here. We have the JTT mark over here, and we have Ronaldo A. Carr's sub-inspection mark. It's RAC. And JTT, by the way, is John T. Thompson of Thompson machine gun fame. So can we take a minute right there? Let's stop. Those are 2 really cool sub-inspector marks. Ronaldo A. Carr is a very desirable inspector mark for Colt collectors, especially in single-action armies. JTT, he did this, I believe, for just a couple of years, early 20th century. So to have Thompson machine guns and Ronaldo A. Carr both stamped on this gun is pretty cool. It's a military gun, but it falls just outside the serial number range for the 12,500 Model 1903s that were shipped to the Army. Well, Colt's not going to let these assembled guns go to waste, and so they had it engraved, whether that's for exhibition, whether that's for display, whether it's for a shooting prize. And this gun is every bit an exhibition. I mean, look at it. It is beautiful engraving. We have the checkered ivories. We have niter blue still on this thing, screaming from the trigger, from the back of the hammer. That engraving comes up, I'd say, over 50% of the barrel, and then you have touches of it here at the muzzle. This is beautiful, beautiful work. Most sources you see on this gun cite the work as Kuno Helfrich's shop, if not Helfrich himself, because the work is so expertly done. Actually, the next 2 sequentially from this one are almost identical in their design and engraving. Those 2, however, don't quite have the condition of this one. It is an absolute stunner. In summary, the too long didn't read, it's a Colt. It's an underappreciated military design, swing-out cylinder, double-action revolver, first adopted by the military, 2 very cool sub-inspector marks, gorgeous engraving from Helfrich's shop, if not Helfrich himself, and the condition is just through the roof. And it's in lot 3460. That's tomorrow, so go get it. Best luck on all your bids. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Until next time, keep your powder dry.